what's just happened so that we know?
So the Obama administration just officially released really a grab bag of changes. It's not just this 2-year extension, but a number of things. Simplifying forms for employers. The IRS was involved. The Treasury Department was involved, as well as HHS. They're giving states more time to decide if they want to have their own exchanges. Insurers are going to have an extra month to sign people up in the open enrollment period for next year. So basically for 2015, they've taken a look at a number of things where there were concerns, where there were complaints, and they've made these tweaks. And yes, Matt, that does include this 2-year extension on people that were able to keep their non-compliant plans. After, you'll remember, this was October of last year, people started getting those cancellation notices. Obama, of course, got tremendous backlash for his comment, if you like your plan, you can keep it. People saying he wasn't keeping that promise. So they changed course. They said state insurance commissioners can make the decision on a state-by-state basis for people to keep those plans. 28 states did, and now they'll have the option through 2017 to have these non-compliant plans that really don't fall under the law. They don't require their insurance plan to cover maternity care.
Well, let's remember that it wasn't just one comment, right? It was something that the president said repeatedly, over and over again, in order to get the people of this country behind his health care reform law. You can keep your current health care plan if you like it. It was a promise. It was a statement that he made of fact. Ovik, was the president lying directly to the American people knowingly, or did the president not understand his own health care law?
Well, there was a Wall Street Journal article a few months ago that dug into this and found that actually the health policy experts in the White House had repeatedly tried to counsel the White House not to have this explicit declaration because it wasn't true. Everyone knew it wasn't true. The bill was designed to render all those plans illegal. But the political team in the White House said, no, we can't have any asterisks or caveats because that would confuse people and risk the failure to pass the bill. So they knew what they were doing when they made that statement.
So they were purposely lying to everyone. Have we learned nothing from Richard Nixon? It sounds ridiculous. What's the backlash been like? I just saw, Megan, a statement from John Boehner. Now, you would expect him, and frankly, you'd expect the Wall Street Journal also to write this kind of thing. But what has the backlash been like on Capitol Hill today? Because the president, is it possible that he could actually allow us, as he said he would, to keep all of our health care plans if we like them?
Well, I think, Matt, one of the big questions swirling around this announcement is, was this a decision based on the midterm elections? Because, I mean, if you look at, okay, we're going to extend it for a year, that means people are going to be receiving cancellation policies. If they didn't make this move, they would be receiving cancellation policies right around the time that the Senate's up for grabs and people are going to the polls. So it obviously would have been a huge Republican target, as it already is. You know, the Koch brothers, they're Americans for Prosperity, the group that they fund, already has ads out of people that still did have their plans canceled. So they've already made this an issue, but it would have made more headlines, a bigger splash right before the elections. So that's been one of the questions circulating. And White House officials today said absolutely not. This wasn't a political decision. They say they make the case, though,
right.
Matt,
and Putin didn't send any Russian soldiers into Ukraine. Yeah, right?
I knew you were going to be skeptical there, but they make the case from what they've seen with employers, the phase-in.
There's no doubt that it was political. And let's make one other point that's actually very important. The law passed by Congress, the Affordable Care Act, makes very clear that all those old plans have to be illegal starting January 1, 2014. The executive branch does not have the legal authority to rewrite a congressional statute through regulatory action. So the legality of this move is there's no legal precedent, well, I should say legal, there's no legal justification for simply ignoring a congressional statute and saying, well, we've just magically decided that these plans that we said in law are not legal. We're now saying that they're legal again.
Megan?
Well, I mean, how about this? Okay, so you don't buy it that this wasn't a political move. But the other case that we're hearing from the White House is that this is really a negligible number of people. That at this point we're talking about somewhere between 500,000 and 1.5 million people. But as the years go on, you're going to see more and more people choosing to go onto the exchanges, and more people. You know, this is a very turbulent, churning market, the individual insurance marketplace. So a lot of people will just drop out or, their circumstances will change.
Yeah, so
that by the time we get to 2017, it's not really going to matter.
Yeah, so we know that it's political because the White House explicitly and overtly resisted this kind of move for a long time when a lot of other people were pushing for it, and only changed their mind relatively recently when the news stories started to appear where people were really angry and the approval rating of the president sank, and a lot of Democratic senators that have been nervous about 2014 came to the White House and lobbied the White House hard to change the White House's stance. So there was a change in the White House's stance. This is not a policy the White House has always had. They've always argued that you've got to have everyone in the pool, in one pool, because that's the only way the exchanges will work. So we know that for a fact. And the other thing I would say is, yes, it does matter, because what you're going to do now is you've created a precedent whereby if there's a Republican president in 2017, all he has to do is follow the Obama playbook. He can just say, well, you know what? President Obama delayed these grandfathering provisions for the rest of his presidency, so why do I have to enforce them? And you create a precedent whereby a Republican president can say, you know what? I'm going to suspend the individual mandate. I'm going to suspend the employer mandate. I'm going to suspend these insurance regulations. And there's nothing that Democrats will be able to say about it.
It's a good point, Megyn. Even if the individual mandate comes back into play, assuming a Republican wins office, I suppose he could suspend, or she could suspend, the individual mandate in the next presidency.
I do think that there probably are some valid concerns about what kind of precedents this sets. But, in terms of, I'm not here to defend the White House, but they certainly believe that these rules, these changes that they made for 2015 are within the letter of the law.